Legendary!
What is up guys, Kris05 here with another video. As you probably heard, Blizzard announced that they will deploy balance changes after the HCT playoffs finish at the end of May. And in this video, I will give you my predictions for possible changes as well as some tips at the end with which you can benefit from. Before we get to that, I have two big announcements for you guys, but if you don't care about those, you can skip 30 seconds ahead. The first announcement is that I will start streaming on a more regular basis from now on, so if you don't want to miss my streams, follow me on Twitch. And like and follow my Facebook page, Hearthstone Tips by Kris05, where I will announce when I'll be streaming. The second announcement is that I've partnered up with the channel witbet.com esports, and I will be uploading Hearthstone videos once or twice a week to their channel as well. You can already find my Odd Paladin guide over there, as well as my latest playvic tutorial. Don't worry though, I won't stop uploading to this channel, although it might be slightly less often than before. I will leave links to my Twitch and Facebook page in the description, as well as a link to witbet.com esports channel and site. Okay, back to the main topic, the upcoming balance changes. Notice that Blizzard is using the words balance changes and not nerfs. This hints that they might actually buff some cards as well as nerf others. According to hsreplay.net, the impact of the Witchwood on the meta has been significantly less than that of previous sets. Journey to Un'Goro cards saw play rates over 25% in its first week, whereas the Witchwood is close to 10%. Currently, the Witchwood is arguably the least relevant set, and even more concerning is the continuing decline. The fact that Q-Block is still a Tier 1 deck without including a single new card from the Witchwood says a lot. I will not go as far as to speculate how Blizzard could buff the current cards, since that is just too broad of a speculation to do. No one really knows what Blizzard will come up with, and I'm sure their decisions will be guided by the future cards. As you might have heard, Blizzard already knows most of the new cards from the next expansion and have a pretty good idea of what the expansion after that will be as well, so you can be sure that everything will be connected. Now the nerf section should be much easier to predict, or at least the decks that would be nerfed. Right now, the biggest menaces to the meta are Paladins, Warlocks, Quest Rogues, and Spiteful decks, with Druid at the top. Here are the cards that I think might get nerfed around mid-June. Even though all of them have exceptional value, I don't believe all of them will get nerfed, but just one or two for each archetype. Also, I'm not saying they should do these nerfs. Consider this more like a prediction, based on past nerfs. For Warlock and his best two decks, Cube and Control Lock, I think one or two of these cards might bite the nerf hammer. Possessed Lackey brings amazing value to the board, sometimes being played as soon as turn 4, for a devastating Voidlord or Doomguard. A possible nerf here would be to increase its mana cost to 6 instead of 5, which will slow down the deck and lower its win rate versus aggro decks as well as other control decks. Dark Pact is amazing for sustain, but we all know why we run it. To activate our lackeys and cubes. What could be done here is again increase its cost to 2 mana instead of 1, which actually has a positive side for locks. With this change, Skulking Geist will no longer pose a threat to these decks. On the downside, again this will slow down the deck and it will destroy one of its most powerful combos, playing Umbra and cubing a Doomguard along with a Dark Pact. Speaking of the devil, let's discuss Doomguard now. An interesting idea I saw in the forums was changing his battle cry to discard 2 random cards, gain charge. This would be a massive blow to Q-Block, since this is the main advantage of playing Q-Block instead of Control Lock, and with a change like this, the archetype would be destroyed. Bloodreaver Gul'dan is another massive card for both decks. Since it is already sitting at 10 mana, they can't really make it 11, so something along the lines of limiting the amount of demons you summon either by number or by type seems plausible. Being forced to play unique demons would really shake up the archetype, but again it will hurt Q-Blocks a lot. Reducing the damage of his hero power to 2 might be better instead. Carnivorous Cube is the last Warlock related card I'll talk about. A simple mana adjust seems acceptable here, upping it from 5 to 6 or maybe 7, but again this will destroy the combo we talked about earlier. Moving on to Paladin. Here we will discuss mainly Even and Murloc Paladin, since the Odd Paladin cards can't really get nerfed and it is not even that OP anymore. First on the list would obviously be Call to Arms. Again, a simple mana adjust from 4 to 5 would seem like an obvious change, but when you think about it, it would automatically get included into Out Paladin. A change like that would bring Out Paladin back to Tier 1 and throw Even Paladin in Tier 2 or even 3. For Murlocs, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but it would still hurt its tempo. If it gets moved to 5 mana, Out Paladin would be able to summon 3 1-drops, which won't be as strong as it is in Even Paladin, but it will be a good tool to thin out your deck. The other obvious OP card for this class is Taram the Sunkeeper. As I've said before, this is maybe the best class legendary minion. He brings so much instant value to the board, and he is a constant threat even when you don't have him in your hand. People are always focused to play around it, not knowing if the 6 1-drops on the board will turn into 18 phase damage in the next turn. What could be done here is to increase its mana cost from 6 to 8. Since if it was 7, it would be devastating in Out Paladin. Another scenario would be to only change your opponent's minions or your own minions, instead of all. Moving down to Spiteful Summoner. Again, a mana adjust would be reasonable, although druids have lots of ways to play it sooner with ramping. Another way would be to change its battle cry to cap the mana cost of the minions it could summon to 8 or even 7. Being able to summon a random 10 mana minion right now gives you 25% chance to summon a Tyrantus or a Deathwing, since there are only 4 10 mana cost minions in Standard right now, and that is just weird. And last but not least, Quest Rogue. Quest Rogue emerged from the shadows again since the meta shifted to Control. This deck has great win rate versus slow decks, but it is horrible versus aggro decks. I'm not really sure what Blizzard could do about it, other than some drastic change. The deck is already close to unplayable versus aggro and overall looks a bit unhealthy. Since Blizzard already nerfed the quest once, I'm not sure they will touch it directly again. And that's about it for Standard. I wouldn't be surprised if Naga gets hit by the nerf hammer too. She has been reigning terror on Wild since forever and she is probably due to a nerf. Something along the lines of adding a minimum cost to the minions should do the trick, but I'm not a Wild player, so I won't speculate here. And here is the tip part of the video. The first thing is not so much as a tip as it is common sense, but still. Since we know for a fact that cards will get balanced in the next several weeks, you should not disenchant any cards. You heard me, any. Not just the cards that are probably gonna get nerfed, but the rest too, since they might get buffed. Well, I guess you could go ahead and disenchant extra cards for which you are sure won't get nerfed, but with Blizzard, you can never be too sure. Even if you think a certain card is unplayable right now, wait a bit and see if it gets buffed before you disenchant it. Another tip I can give you is about purchasing packs. If you want to spend your gold on packs right now, I'd say it is best to buy them from the Kobolds and Catacombs set. There are just too many cards in that set that are a lot stronger than the others. And if you happen to open them and they get nerfed, you will rake in a lot of dust. Most of the cards from my list are exactly from that set. Other cards that also might be in Blizzard's crosshairs would be Voidlord, Kobold Librarian, Amethyst, Skull of Manari, and maybe even Level Up. So you can see that this set really has great cards that might end up nerfed. The smarter choice though would just be to wait for Blizzard to announce the actual nerfs, and spend your gold for the packs that contain the most nerfed cards. If I were you, I would just stack some gold for now and see where the most nerf cards would be, so I maximize my chances for extra dust. So that's about it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, subscribe and drop a like. You can also check vipbet.com esports for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05 and I'll see you in my next video.